Nation? Welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. Back for the first time since last Friday. Of course, I've got my lovely and beautiful co-host with me, Jen Santi, aka at Jen Santi 1890 on Twitter. Make sure you go follow her over there. She's always cracking jokes and trending over there on Twitter, if you will. Me, not so much lately. I've been super busy. Took a new job that was, it's just going to be 4 days a week, 8 hours most days. And then the snowstorm came through all of the south end of Flux. And now I'm working like 610. So it's been kind of tough. There's really not a ton going on right now, but there are a few pretty big stories out there. The biggest one being is FSU stuck in the ACC through 2036? Are they looking at 2030 or 2031 when some different things align for them to possibly get out? Are they, still waiting on, the end of that lawsuit and going to push it to try to get out as soon as possible? Or is there a deal that's rumored on being worked on behind the scenes? What's going to happen with the revenue distribution? We talked about this ad nauseum. That's what Michael offered initially coming out, I believe, in 23 or the end of 22, talking about, we bring 15% of the eyeballs, 15% of the money, and that's on the conservative estimate. Why can't we get a bigger piece of the pie? It's pretty crazy to have, two teams drive the large majority of everything when it comes to the conference, and yet they get the same thing as 17 other guys, and especially with the escalating contracts for the SEC and the Big Ten. The Big Tens, which is, huge and comes up again like in 2030, I think, or 2031. That's where those rumors come about. Maybe then FSU could possibly get in the Big Ten, pay that buyout as it gets closer and closer to 2036 or not. And we'll get into all that. I'm sure Jen has an opinion about that. Jared Verse is the defensive rookie of the year. I believe the fourth different Seminole to do that. So we can start with that. He has that cool picture that I put on the thumbnail of him just pretty much Supermaning on one of those. I believe he picked up a fumble for a touchdown. But pretty cool. The ACC even got their coattails on it. They sent a tweet out with the video of him accepting the award and, accomplished greatness and all that stuff. It still hurts to see them, to have the rights for FSU and be able to wave that banner. It drives me nuts, but nonetheless, pretty cool to see Jared Verse win the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. It's great. I just hate the ACC. And I think those assholes are horrendous people. I think they can, suck it. I think they had no comments on Florida State when they were 13-0 and got left out. You didn't see ACC football tweeting anything. But, when it comes to SMU and Clemson, they're all over it. They're tweeting every 5 seconds. I'm surprised I haven't been blocked by ACC football, to be fair. I really am. So that's nice. I still say, just go screw yourselves. Don't care.
Yeah, no doubt. It's one of those things. I don't even have it's like deja vu. I don't know what you call it, but every time you see them do something like that, it's like, man, yeah, the people that are suing you assholes to get out. Ride the coattails all you want, but no, happy for Jared Verse. It's pretty insane because Braden Fisk, I believe, was also a finalist for the award. Yep. They were like battling each other for sacks and pressures all year. I know they both led them in the different categories, a couple of different categories. I think Jared Verse led all of the NFL in pressures in the regular season and playoffs up until the point when the Rams were eliminated, of course. And Fisk as a defensive tackle, amazing. Really cool moment to see him. And just to your point about the ACC and how it was all about poo-pooing FSU and, we're mad at you, so we're not going to pull for you to get in the playoffs. We're going to be nowhere to be seen. The ACC championship is going to be an advertisement for the SEC. It's wild to see 2 of your defensive linemen dominate in the NFL, legitimately dominate at their positions. One's defensive rookie of the year, another finalist, and that was on the college defensive line.
So that weren't good enough, by the way. That weren't good enough.
Unreal.
Good
So
enough for
yeah.
the NFL, just not good enough for the college football playoffs because, Nick Saban needed his last run.
Yeah, and if we learned anything this year, seeing all the teams that quote unquote shouldn't have been in there after that Indiana whooping, it was a whole bunch of those teams that weren't supposed to be there, either taking guys down to the overtime or just blowing the other team out. So it was pretty cool to see. Outside of Clemson and SMU, they got wiped out pretty early. But yeah, I want to get out. It really breaks my heart, kind of that ESPN extended, but it makes sense. It's a sweetheart deal for them, and where they see everything going and the revenues.
Well, didn't
Towards
the
the future.
emails, though, come out that they wanted to start promoting North Carolina all the time? Isn't that something that happened? Did I miss something here?
Hey, I didn't see that, but it would not surprise me. Yeah, North
I'm pretty
Carolina.
sure that that's something that happened. Yeah. So, and I think that has something to do with, Belichick being hired with his 15-year-old girlfriend on his side. I don't like the ACC is even promoting his 15-year-old girlfriend or whatever she is. What is she, 19? Something like that. It's really wild what the ACC is doing right now. They are so gross. They're so hypocritical. Go promote North Carolina and then watch them get their asses beat again. They'll never win anything in football. Never. Bill Belichick has zero interest in being their head coach. He has an out in his contract should he get another job. This is insane to me. And it's like, here goes ESPN. Let's promote North Carolina. I mean, why don't you just send out emails to promote Clemson? At least Clemson can win games.
Little
It
old
makes
Clemson.
zero sense.
We don't want little old Clemson in the playoffs. Why would we want them?
Well, you
That's
know what I
our
mean?
coach
It's just,
said.
it's absurd. It's
Oh yeah.
absurd. And I mean, Florida State gets more views than Clemson anyway. So again, they don't care about it. It's almost it's like a criminal minds type thing with ESPN. Like, I don't get it, but fine. Fine.
Here's what I think drove it. I think that they feel strongly enough about the grant of rights and all that stuff that ESPN says, okay, we don't give a shit. I don't think they really care if the ACC blows up in 5 years or not, or is relegated to G5 or anything like that. They've made that clear with the propaganda they've spewed or allowed Kirk Herbstreit to spew and the playoff decisions, leaving out the undefeated team last year, all the things. But I think what they were looking at more than anything is not wanting Florida State and Clemson to go to the Big Ten. Because especially coming off this playoff where everybody's talking shit about the SEC. It's hard pressed. Even Paul Feinbaum and some of the shills, legitimately can't, not Kirk Herbstreit, but some of the shills came out and were like, damn, yeah, the Big Ten's the best conference right now. They had to eat their words. This is two titles in a row. And when the playoffs happened, all these teams, they talk, oh, Penn State ain't this, they ain't SEC. Well, Notre Dame, Penn State, Notre Dame isn't a Big Ten team, of course, but you know what I mean. Um, if you just add FSU and Clemson on top of that, all of a sudden when you start counting the brands, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, you just got Oklahoma and Texas, even though Oklahoma's Texas. You get to 6, 7 of those real big name brands in the SEC. Well, in the Big Ten, all of a sudden, Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Clemson, Penn State, USC, like there's a big, and I think the power dynamic from FSU and Clemson going to the Big Ten, I think that was the biggest thing. I've seen people float like, is there a chance when the next round of conference realignment comes around that ESPN just wanted to have their umbrella under their umbrella, so possibly the next time the SEC add teams, which you imagine they will before 2036, ESPN can then figure out a way to get FSU and Clemson to the SEC versus the Big Ten. What do you think about that?
I mean, maybe, but I just think they're all so damn corrupt. I mean, I've honestly lost interest in it, to be fair. I think I want Florida State out of the ACC. I just feel like, how is it going to happen when all these powers that be just get away with whatever they want to do. They screw over whoever they want to screw over. They're corrupt. They lie. They're fake. They're just absolute losers all the time. And here goes ESPN, and they're fine with it. Jim Phillips is fine with it because he's busy, massaging Kirk Herbstreit's feet. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's just such a waste at this point. Like college football is almost not even really interesting at some points anymore because for ESPN, it's only the SEC. SEC this, SEC that. You had Kirk Herbstreit cry that Ohio State won, even though, I mean, it hurt his soul a little bit that, poor Tennessee got their they got bit over after they took their clothes off on national TV. And it was embarrassing what happened. And he's like sitting there and he wouldn't even say that Tennessee got destroyed. He's like, well, I mean, Ohio State played really well, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And Tennessee sucks, but he won't say that. Georgia lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame hasn't beaten a big team in what, 15 years? 20 years? When's the last time this has happened? Y'all tell me, I'm not sure. I mean, it's just, give me a break.
Yeah, it gets old. It's tough. Shout out Vince, our guy. We're at Big 12 Mafia. Gives a good shout out and says you're looking great. We wish him some good health as well, man. Good to see you in the chat. I'm glad to be here with you guys. I wasn't even looking at the comments for the first few minutes. People that are regulars at the show know I'm bad about that sometimes. I zone out. But if you do have any questions or anything like that, I've seen some comments talking about, Florida State stuck till 2031. I wouldn't, throw all the marbles out and say that Florida State's just done trying to get out at this point. We're going to see what happens with these lawsuits and stuff. But, I think there's a good chance you can get, I don't know if you're going to get the full 15%, but I think from everything I've heard and the people I've talked to, like, you're going to get a majority of you're going to get the votes you need to get some sort of unequal revenue sharing, some kind of something, whether it's, based on yearly, I don't know how far they're going to go back. If you go to 10 years, 15 years, the past 5 years, I'm not sure what exactly it's going to be, but every kind of rumor out there at least has that in it that, Florida State and Clemson and, North Carolina, Miami, whoever's bringing the eyeballs is going to get some kind of bump. And there's also different things with collective bargaining coming that could possibly shrink it. Everybody's going to be doing it. It's always an arms race. But they're trying to change some Florida law right now to where, instead of athletic departments having to completely finance the football team and the softball team and stuff like that, that they'll be able to pull money from the actual university. It doesn't have to be the money that's made goes in and out, which has always been a kind of issue. That's why everything extra comes from the boosters. No, they're going to look to actually tap into some of those alumni dollars. I don't know if it's exactly like endowment type level stuff or not, but everything's in flux. As our guy Vince says, it's not over. Stay positive. FSU deserves better. We appreciate it, bro. We definitely do. It's tough. People look at you sideways coming off 2-10, but FSU is a lot bigger than 1 year. I mean, I watched Thomas Castellanos' introductory press thing about 10 days ago. And that's something he said. Somebody asked him from one, I think it was a guy it might have been our guy Jordan from Tomahawk Nation, like, after Florida State goes 2-10, and it's like, what made you decide to come down here and, try to, take this thing over from 2-10 and flip it around? Like, what made you decide to still come to Tallahassee? And he's like, I've seen it a dozen times. I've been a Florida State fan my whole life. I've had family go there. I mean, how many, you had Bobby towards the end, and then Jimbo comes in and you go on a run. It's been tough, but no, Florida State can have a down year and come back. Will it be with Mike Norvell this year and Tommy Castellanos? I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good. I threw that squat thing up there on the thumbnail of Thomas or Tommy. I guess he goes by Tommy. That's what I keep seeing people call him. So Tommy Castellanos. From everything we've heard, I don't want to sound like a broke record because I've said it over and over when we debated, them signing him immediately and being the first transfer and not really even being willing to wait for the other quarterbacks like Caden Salter to come visit, things of that nature. I wanted him here so they could build the portal class around him. Eventually, as he did that, they were able to get the offensive lineman. I know at least 2 of them he was key in the recruitment on. And then Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White. There's something about guys when they get together. It's like within 5 minutes, you can know, like, oh, this is my bro. This is somebody I want to work with, et cetera, et cetera. And those guys really hit it off, especially Deuce and Tommy. All the, private workouts or whatever you want, player-only workouts they've done and really getting into a good rhythm. It stinks we don't have a spring game because, I want a peek of what this thing is going to look like with Tommy back there, Deuce out wide, Squirrel, and all the new offensive linemen that are just I'd like to look at the heights and weights. We had to have gained a foot or two and 100, 200, 300 pounds on the offensive line. Not having a spring game really makes it tough, but man, we're going to debut this thing August 30th against Alabama at home, and we'll see kind of what's what. Where's your confidence on everything? I don't know if you want to give a win total, a win-loss way, or on a scale of 1 to 10. But how confident are you this thing gets turned around and you've got a bold team out there making some plays and giving us some exciting weeks? The dread of 2-10 was just you knew you were going to get your guys kicked every week. Fourth quarter, even the third quarter, most games wasn't going to be competitive. It was going to be over with. What's your confidence meter? That's all over, and you get some nail biters and be in some games you shouldn't and wins the ones you should.
I need to see the first game. I need to see the first game because I made this mistake last year, and then after I saw the first game, I said, hey, we're not going to win another game. I'm sorry. So I've got to see the first game. I'm not going to go all there. Yeah, I don't know. I got to see it. I got to see it to believe it. I wish we had some sort of spring game. I wish we could see or trust practice information. But, it is what it is. So I got to see the first game or maybe even just the first quarter, And then after the first game, we can see what type of energy you can see, I don't know. Last year kind of depleted everything that you really believe. And again, I'm not making predictions until I see at least something. I got to see something.
Yeah, it's tough. But, not that the spring game ever really gives you much, but especially when you get a new quarterback, you can see some things, a new offense. So, yeah, it's really tough. And I don't think, to your point about trusting practice reports, we paid for that last year. But I think to a certain extent, so did the coaching staff. I think, all of the world knew exactly what FSU was going to try to do. And they just schemed it up and they had zero answers. They could, we can't do what we wanted to do. And we don't have a running quarterback, so we can't do that. It was really bad. So I don't think even when fall camp starts and we get some kind of film, from practice, a little 5-10 minutes, whatever they give, I don't think things are going to leak. I don't think we're going to know exactly who's doing what in practice. This player can't catch the ball. This player that. Traps. They're really going to want to do trap. Counters what they're going to do. Counter. All that stuff I think is going to be kind of out the window, and Gus Malzahn and Mike Norvell are going to come out there. They're going to have a script with window dressing and, running up the middle and hitting big plays. It's going to be tough for the show and the content and stuff. We're just going to be kind of pontificating on what it could be. But, yeah, we're going to have to see him against Alabama. I don't even know what to expect from Alabama, which makes it hard. But at the end of the day, I think worst thing Alabama would be like an 8-win team with extremely good athletes. They still recruit. think they were number 1 this year, top 3 at least in the different services. So it's going to be tough. I was like, you're kind of rash last year when you said we wouldn't win another game. We did win, 1 game or 2 games, end up winning 2 games, but you were pretty much right. But like, I didn't realize like how good Georgia Tech was at that time, but it didn't matter. It was like just because the team knew it was Georgia Tech and the perception of who Georgia Tech was and what they thought they were going to be going into the season, when they lost that fight, it was like that was it. It was over with. The team, whatever they gave up, it was broken. They lost their confidence, whatever the case may be, because they didn't play a game as good as they played in Ireland the entire rest of the year. I guess you can throw the Cal game out there. I don't know what that was like an anomaly.
I'm not throwing the Cal game out there. It's Cal. Nobody's doing that.
But,
These are Cal is a bunch of Berkeley people that like protest in trees and throw toilet paper at people. Like, we're not doing that. Cal, no, we're not.
It's still insane they're freaking in the conference. But the point I was getting at is, like, as far as the morale, having Alabama there obviously gives you something to work towards. It's got all these guys fired up. It's going to be a giant game. I'm sure, 20 million people will watch it and everything like that the first weekend of the year, being on August 30th. But if you lose that game, it shouldn't fucking break everything you've built. Unless you get just absolutely throttled like 60-0 or something. You know what I mean? Like losing to Georgia Tech and Ireland, that was just like the axe blow. That killed everything. My hope is that even if you lose the Alabama game, you've got the cupcake, the bye, the cupcake, and then you really ease into it. The schedule, the first 6 games is really manageable. So maybe they can get some confidence and things of that nature. And I just think regression to the mean is what's going to happen. Like last year was a crazy outlier. Like we were the worst football team in college football. Like I just want people out there to know that's not going to be this year. I'm not ready to start talking about 10 wins or anything like that to Jen's point. But as far as my confidence meter that we're going to see a competitive team week in and week out, and maybe there's only about 2 or less. I'd say there's 3 games, maybe 4 that would be a miracle if you won. But the other 8-9 games on the schedule are out there. We'll see what Miami does. We'll see what Florida looks like. But Clemson, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough one to win. Alabama, that's going to be a tough game to start the season. But a lot of these other guys, Virginia, obviously Kent
Who's
State,
Bama's quarterback?
Western Texas A&M. I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to be Ty Simpson or the Keelan Russell kid coming in as a freshman. I'm not sure. I imagine
if Ty Simpson was any good, wouldn't they have at least tried him against Michigan? I mean, that was some horrendous shit we saw. I don't know. I think, but maybe you're right. But also, Ty Simpson is not Kalen DeBoer's quarterback, right?
I think the Bama people really think Keelan Russell has a chance.
Yeah,
I'm not that
I agree with you
but
there.
a couple podcasts I've seen, they're like praying that he comes in and he's like a true freshman phenom. It's weird because Ty Simpson was obviously a high-rated guy. I feel like
Tennessee fans cried for weeks they didn't get him.
I feel like the deal with Chris Peterson and Milroe was or not Chris Peterson. What's the guy's name? The Washington term, DeBoer. DeBoer and having Jalen Milroe. I don't think that was necessarily what he wanted at quarterback, but you had a guy who was a Heisman, this and that, coming back. Nick Saban still looms over the program and all that. I think they went with him the first year because it was the best thing on hand, but I imagine they'll see a little bit different style of play that fits more what he wants to do. But yeah, the question is, do they get somebody in the spring portal? I'm not sure. I mean, having been left out of the playoffs, you really thought they would have maybe went after somebody. But, yeah, if they're not really into Ty Simpson, maybe they just really believe that much in Keelan Russell. But yeah, it's a good point. Like, you can make the case. I could sit here and make the case that Florida State could go out and win that game. But the difference is the second and the third strings.
Yeah.
You can't stack talent like you used to do. You can't have a first rounder, at 2 or 3 different D-line positions as backups or like a linebacker like Alabama used to do. Alabama used to line up redshirt senior linebackers, start for 1 year, and then go in the first round of the draft. It was fucking nuts. Like, it's the craziest shit you ever seen because Reuben Foster was holding down one of them spots for 3 or 4 years and wasn't nobody going to get it.
Right.
Not like that anymore. But they still have 5-star on top of 5-star, freshmen, sophomores, whatever, back there that, when you get into the depth, we'll find out. I love everything FSU did. You're doing the 3-3-5. You changed body styles with the defensive linemen you brought in and the ones you sent out on the road. You get Daryl Jackson back. You got James Williams, Deontay McCray, Diamante Diggs. You got your run stoppers. Like, all that's good. But yeah, you can't look talent in the eye and deny it. Similar as much as I hate Miami, and I know that the necessary parts are never going to come together for the Cinderella run they're waiting on from Mario Cristobal. I'll never believe it, but like, they have done good with their offensive line. They've got damn good players at certain spots, but even that's shrinking up more and more. But Florida State will get back there. You managed to secure a 19th place recruiting class. Signing day was just 2 days ago on Wednesday. Chasen Brown, the 6'7", 270-pound offensive tackle that was committed to UCF, ends up committing here, like we've been telling you, like, from day one. Like, he's been a silent and committed, silent no, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. It was kind of a done deal. Chavez Thompson, the guy who's like 6'1", 320 pounds or some crazy shit, doesn't have the measurables there as far as the height, but Herb Hand, I'm not going to question who he brings to the offensive line. We're going to see what happens when the season starts, but Gus and Herb just have good offensive lines and run games every year, just what they do. So I'll take the Chavez kid. I think I'm missing one more. I think there was a third person assigned, but we didn't end up getting to hear Mathis. Apparently, he really played the game. Like, he had 2 or 3 schools thinking that he was really going to come, and was really driving those NIL dollars up. But the crystal ball came in from Maryland, a couple days before. There was still hope out there. You never know what would happen, but yeah, he ends up going to Maryland. Not the end of it. It's not the end of the world. Florida State still got a top 20 class, which was a miracle. Firing both.
And Tyon Lee, he's a 5-star now. Look, I think Mathis would have been a great ad. There's no question about that. But he is technically a project, and I think everybody universally agrees on that. And the relationship is good. And he went to Maryland, which means he'll probably be on the market in a year. So, there it is. That's what I would say about that.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy that you end up with Kevin Wynn, who isn't a 5-star, but I think he's underrated. I think he should be a 5-star. He's still one of the best D-line recruits, defensive tackle recruits Florida State has signed in like 8 years since Marvin Wilson. You get Tylon Lee that late, and I've been, early on this. I was way ahead of the services bracketing him up. Like, I thought he could have the best chance to impact the game outside of Kevin Wynn of anybody else in the D-line hall. When it comes to him, his first step is like super athletic. I think ESPN or On3 a couple months ago moved him up to 75, and then, to your point, all the way up to number 24 as a 5-star. Like, damn, we got a pretty good defensive line class. When you add the Deere twins, when you add the portal hall, of course, yeah, it's going to be a completely different group almost out there next year. You'll have some guys coming back to have a chance to come forward. KJ Sampson, Daniel Lyons. We can see if they can take another step. But yeah, I'm excited for it all, man. It's just tough, guys. It sucks not having the spring game. We were all excited to come hang out with you guys and do all that stuff. But for now, that's about it. That's about all that's on the docket. Kevin Hickson says, can bring famous Jameis to speak to the team every game. Yeah, we got get him in there, giving him the dogs, no puppy speak. Jen, have you seen Jameis like wandering around acting a fool for Fox Sports on?
Yeah, and one thing that is just making me almost crazy is because we all know what happened in 2013 with Jameis and Outkick Sports, right? They put out a tweet that was like, he is a national treasure. Preserve him at all costs. By the way, they were one that was calling him a graper, right? Like that's exactly what was happening. I remember. I don't know if anybody else remembers. Never apologized, but that's fine. Neither here nor there. It's just amazing how many people just want to jump on a bandwagon because, by the way, he is a national treasure and he should be protected at all costs, which is why Florida State fans protected him at all costs.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going to say.
it's so crazy. I think, we finally got to a spot where we've learned our lesson on that stuff. But, it's pretty crazy how from Duke lacrosse all the way through, the mega cancel 4 years or 5 years or whatever it was that everybody was just trying to find a way to cancel somebody or call somebody a graper or this or that. Hopefully we can get back to some kind of due process and give people a chance. Like, because I'll condemn to anything like that, any kind of violence against a woman. I was raised by my mom and my sister. I've been around 2 women my whole life, so we don't play that kind of stuff. So I would condemn it and I'd burn everything Jameis I had and stuff if I really believe that. It's a shame, and if they tried to do it now, he would sue the shit out of them, for defamation and all those things. But at that point in time, they got away with it. It is what it is. I'm sure he still remembers all of it. Remembers the people that were going through his trash and all that stuff. But our guy Brian,
what was his name? Who was that ESPN reporter? He's got that ridiculous haircut. Oh, come on! Somebody give me Somebody tell me. What was his name? He went to Miami too.
Get me the line. I don't want to throw a name out there and deride somebody.
Who cares? The guy's a douche.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
That's it. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
That is exactly correct.
Self-righteous prick. Yeah, he's a self-righteous prick. And then he'll want to comment on something about Jameis, all these years later when something good happens. Yeah, screw him. But on a good note.
Wait till Malika Andrews, or what's her name? Malika. What? Who is the one that always comments on that shit? On ESPN. She loves to just deride players for like accusations by scum women.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is Malika Andrews. It is Malika Andrews, I think.
You're probably right. I tuned out so many, like, if I consume anything ESPN, it's like during a college football game. Like, pardon the interruption, I'll watch clips of that because I feel like I don't agree with what they say all the time. But they at least sit there and have an honest call, like me and you are having, except for they'll have, there are different things that come up. Whether they're right or wrong, it still seems like a couple sports journalists sitting there and giving, their honest opinion, but the rest of it, it just, oh man, it just, Dan Le Batard show used to be my favorite show way back in the day.
Why?
It was on Fusion TV because they didn't get into anything crazy politics wise or stuff. They just talk shit. They goofed around. They had people on. They'd be politically incorrect. But some way down the line.
Dan Le Batard was politically incorrect at some point?
In the Fusion days.
Oh my God.
In the Fusion days, when the Dan Le Batard show was on Fusion, yeah, they caused all kinds of issues. They'd have owners on and talk crazy shit with them. And then somewhere along the line, the fucking lead guy at ESPN, getting it.
You mean Skipper, the one that was on cocaine?
Yeah, now they're CNN. It's like, it's crazy. It's just their nose up in the air is like, it's crazy. Around the horn, same thing. It was like these sport writers.
Oh God, Pablo.
It was these old timey sport writers that all they did was, watch the games and write their columns and all this stuff. And now it's, whatever it is. It's not what it used to be, unfortunately. But things change. I'm just getting old. I don't listen to the radio anymore. Like the songs that come on the country and pop.
Did you say the radio?
Yeah. Does anybody listen to the radio anymore? I remember when I was a kid and everybody was like, turn that crap off. This new music's hibbity blue blah. Yeah, I'm getting old because that's me. There's like, I'll hear one, if I'm listening to the radio for an hour, I'll hear one song. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. But let me get this shout out. I keep trying to get out. Brian Simmons, our guy, says going to miss the spring game family reunion every year. Yeah, it sucks, man. It's been great hanging out with you the past 2 or 3 years. Our guy that always keeps the moonshine flowing at the tailgates for anybody that's brave enough. We'll get to do it. I guess hopefully if we can all make it to the Alabama game, we'll get to test out the new batch of moonshine then. I seen Tiny Hat CEO in the chat there. He says Levitard and Stugatz pissed. Bud Selig off so bad. It was hilarious. Yeah. Back in the day, I'm telling you, in the Fusion TV days, like back from like 2009 to 2013 or 14, it was a shit, but it just slowly but surely got worse and worse and worse and worse. I liked a lot of stuff. I mean,
I don't
not to
know.
be a dead
Dan
horse.
Levitard just whines all the time, and he just like wants to go all just weird all the time. I don't know. I find him to be insufferable. But maybe it's because he's a Miami fan. That could be it for me. I feel like there are three groups of people I would never date, be friends with, whatever. And it's Tennessee fans, Miami fans, and Florida fans for me. Because nobody looks good in orange. And all three of them wear orange. Prison uniforms.
This this cracks me up. Speaking of the new job I started, shout out Jet, a guy that he's technically my boss. He isn't the guy that called me in and hired me, but I think he might even be above that guy. He's been working at this place for a long time. He's like one of the best people to kind of ever do it in there. But he's a Miami fan. I've known him for 15 years because I worked there for 4 or 5 years ago, like a decade ago. And the first thing when I come in there, he's like, "Oh, so you're doing podcasts now, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm just thinking about all the shit we've talked about Miami to hear what he's going to say. So when you said that, it made me laugh. He's definitely not the Miami fan in the chat or whatever. If you're watching, we love you, Jet, or whatever. But no, that was funny. I was like, "Oh shit, he's about to run me out of here for talking all this shit about Miami." Oh my goodness. But yeah, he gave a glowing review though. He said he actually likes our stuff and he watches it from time to time. So it's pretty cool that we can cut across and at least our shit talk is pointed and honest. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Kevin Hickson says, George, what do you think about Marshall Faulk, running back coach in North Carolina? Or what did it say? In Colorado. Did that
Who
happen? Is
cares?
that official? I mean, he's Marshall Faulk. He's the man. At this point with Deion, like the first year, the second year, I was like, he's obviously leaving. He's leaving with his kids. Like the closer we get to the draft, like the turning point is, does he stay for the third year or does he leave? Like he's earned a lot of my respect for the bit of success, the turnaround he had this year, what he did with Hunter and Shador, all that stuff. Like he didn't bail, he didn't completely fold. It wasn't all smoke and mirrors. Like he's really investing in these kids and the coaches. So for what
The
it's worth,
coaches keep
okay.
leaving.
Right, but I mean,
That's
these
why he
guys.
has to keep hiring. Like,
I get it. They get
okay,
opportunities. Former they did. I get. Like, I'm not tooting. I'm not like blowing smoke out. I'm not saying he's done great at all these things. I'm just saying, he's out there diligently. He's working. They're putting something together, getting opportunities for people. It's not the worst program in the country. It was a top 50, whatever it was, and that he will really earn my respect if he comes back to Luther. I just thought it was all just for Shador, and then by extension Travis and the older brother and things of that nature. And he was never ever going
maybe
to
it
stay.
was,
I
and he
didn't think
really
he was
just didn't get an
ever
offer.
invested. Well, I'm saying like I thought he would just quit, like go back to doing
He's not
something
going to
else.
quit. Deion's
Yeah,
not going to just quit.
he's got offers everywhere. Whether he's going to be an NFL coach, I figured he'd take a quarterback coaching gig or a fucking, off field role or whatever the case may be. I figured he would just be out. Like he really only cared about those three guys. But I just think I was a little rough and that he really does care. And he's done some good things. I like the way he's ran the program, not on social media, but behind closed doors. So I'll give him that respect. But as far as, any particular coach or this or that, no, I don't. It doesn't move the needle for me. They have to get a lot better before I'm like, oh shit, he's one of the top coaches in college football. I'm still at, He had his quarterback. He came with his quarterback and his. Let's see what they do this year without them if he actually stays, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I talked a lot of shit. Most of it stands. Some of it he proved me wrong on. We'll see what happens next at the end of the day. There's always going to be sour milk. I wish you would come out and say, I love FSU. All shit aside, I want to come back and da da da. But he probably won't ever because he's prime. So whatever. There's a
The
little.
only way he's going to do that is if somebody offers him a head coaching job at Florida State, which nobody is going to do. Okay? It's never going to happen. Deion didn't leave this year only because he was not offered anything to leave. He isn't leaving Colorado as the head coach to go be a quarterback's coach in the NFL. That would be insane. Only reason he would leave is if he got a job in a better college football team, which, by the way, would probably be any other team in the Big 12, any other team, around the country, by the way. Like, Colorado is such a low bar, and he knows it. We know it. Anybody else who watches TV knows it. The only people who don't know it are these weirdos who jumped on Colorado's bandwagon because they like to look at Deion Sanders' underpants. I don't know. But this is so ridiculous. Yeah, they're going to probably win 3 to 4 games this year. Who gives a shit? Will he get hired by anybody else next year? No. This was his year to leave, and guess what happened? He got no job offers. That's what happened. None. Zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was tons of good jobs open. Tons. And he got none of them. None.
I agree with you 100%. I think, shut up, Lucy. No, I think it just kind of goes to my point. You articulated it a little bit better. What I'm saying is, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to take some other bullshit job. But what I don't think is, I don't think there's another college. I don't know that he wants to fucking work these crazy hours and do this shit. I think now that his kids are gone and shit, it would take, something, like I said, coaching, whether I think he would possibly take an assistant coach to coach his kid in the NFL. I just think he's Deion Sanders. He's got so many things. Why would he want to not take another step up to a better college football job and try to turn
it's
it
probably
around?
pretty easy.
If he's got
I
that kind
feel
of crazy ego, college football coach is not easy. He could go make just as much. He could make just as much money on TV. He could make just as much money on TV and work fucking 10 hours a week, and go endorse a vodka company or what. You know what I mean? He's got so many options. It's like the president. Who really wants to be the fucking president? Who wants that fucking headache? When you can just, like Joe Rogan always says, I got a podcast. Why would I, So that's my thing on Deion Sanders. I never believed he really wanted to invest into building that binder that you hear these coaches talk about. It takes 100 years, and you learn from every year, and vertical alignment, all that stuff. I never thought he really had that. I thought it was bringing the prime circus, my son, ready made. So that's what I was getting at with this third year. But no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I think he would have left if he got a bigger job. That's 100% true. If he got a better job, bigger job, had the Dallas Cowboys actually offered him the job, you don't think he would have jumped at that?
Those are
sorry ass Colorado? Give me a break. Give me a break. He would have been gone in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Colorado is such an irrelevant program. Even their own fans that live there in Boulder, they would prefer to go hiking and smoke weed. That's literally it. Nobody, serious, this is such a joke. And again, good for him if he wants to stay there. And by the way, I would probably stay there too when I couldn't get a better job because he doesn't want to recruit on the road. That's not what he does. And nor does he really need to. And it really doesn't matter how many games he wins or loses because ESPN is going to promote the fuck out of him anyway. If he only wins 3 games next year, they're going to say, hey, what a great year for them because they lost Shador and Travis Hunter, right? They won't give a shit. It won't matter. So he's going to get away with it as he usually does. So I would probably stay there too rather than go be the QB coach for the Raiders or some bullshit. He doesn't want to do that. His ego is way too high. And it's just, yeah, unless he's getting a head coaching job at like a real school, like maybe it had Ohio State fire, Ryan Day left Ohio State or, something like that. That's where he was going to go, right? Like that. Of course he would leave Colorado for that. Of course he would leave them for the Dallas Cowboys. But those offers didn't come in. By the way, he wasn't even on their list. Or like, I mean, I guess the Dallas Cowboys, yes, it was like a nice little PR stunt, which I'm thinking was put out by Deion Sanders' camp, not really Jerry Jones's camp, because which by the way is a little bit brilliant because when you're recruiting and your name is out there for the Dallas Cowboys, recruits are saying, "Oh, you can get me to the NFL." I mean, it's a nice move, right? I'm not going to hate on it, but I just again, Dion will leave the first time he gets a good job, and Colorado ain't it. You know, that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say.
I, I totally agree with that statement. The only place we differ a little bit, I think all the NFL teams, any NFL head coaching job, yeah. But I think the one thing, like, I think where we disagree is I think that, yeah, if like an offensive coordinator somewhere where Shore isn't, hell no. But would he go be an offensive coordinator or a quarterback coach for an NFL team to coach Shador? Yes, because he took an offensive coordinator job at a fucking high school to coach Shador, and then
Yeah,
Jackson State to coach Shador, and then Colorado, as you just intimated, that's so shitty. So do I think he would go there? Yes, because I just and maybe you're right, and that's you probably are 100% right that he does have that ego of wanting to succeed. I think Ohio State, Florida State, like those caliber programs, yeah, he would consider it and would probably do it in a heartbeat. But like for me, that's a slippery slope for him to like try and work his way up. I don't know what the next level would be, you know, of a job outside of just a top 15 job. But yeah, we've never seen him without Shador and Travis Hunter. So like, I just I don't think he's like trying to jump back and forth in the college ranks, but we'll see. I've been wrong somewhat so far, but yeah, I just think that the better job could be a job at TV or a job as the face of this company or something like that, rather than another college coaching job. But we'll see. Maybe he really is wanting to stick it out in college coaching for the next decade, and I've been totally wrong this time. If so, there's hours and hours and hours of clips of me saying that he wasn't going to last. So cheers to you, Dion. Dion turned down Dallas job because Trump is signing an executive order to make him the sports czar. Good lord, no, that would be something. Uh, but we did get one executive order there about that I seen you tweet about. No more men and women's sports, no more Leah Thomases or anything like that in college, which is good for the girls out there.
I
Um,
agree. And
no
I know
160
that
mile
we
an hour
don't want to get
softball.
political. Absolutely. We're not trying to get political, but I played sports as a female, an actual one. And I think this is an amazing move. And I think, I think anybody saying that it is discriminating or wrong absolutely just diminishes a woman's experience there. And it's just really gross because women work really hard for any sort of spot on a team, for scholarships, because women's sports are not, I mean, y'all don't hate on me for what I'm going to say this. They don't make as much money as men's sports, right? It's not as, publicized, it's not as big, but we can't compete against men. You can't. And I'm not saying that somebody who just, whatever is whatever. But if you go through these things and you are an actual biological man, it doesn't work versus a woman. A woman will lose every time. Please see the, stupid soccer team, the women's soccer team who played a high school boys team and got their ass kicked. The World Cup winning women's soccer team got their ass kicked by a high school boys team.
Yeah, look,
It is what it is.
I'm not here to tell anybody, what to do or who they feel they are, this or that. Like, I will not have that conversation. I'll respect somebody unless it gets crazy. But the logic of this is just, it's insane. It's like, why is there a women's division? Oh, it's because the women would get fucking mauled and broken apart in the men's. They wouldn't be able to compete. Okay, so we got a women's division now. Okay, now we're not going to have this debate, like she said, we're not going to get the politics of gender and stuff like that. But okay, well, if what y'all are saying is true, how come there's no women in the NBA or women in it only goes one way. And when you've got somebody who's a man, like that Fallon Fox was the one that started all this breaking girl skulls, and now you've got volleyball
And didn't tell
players
people.
and
And didn't
swimmers
tell
and stuff.
people.
Yeah.
100%.
I think we should all be able to agree on this one. You don't want your daughter getting, in soccer, getting a header from a damn, 6 foot man. Anyways, not often we get down that stuff, but Tiny brought up in executive orders. The chat has went on to talking about how the Cowboys' job is. I think the original comment said low key a bad job. And no, yeah.
Well, yeah, Jerry Jones is actually the coach.
That boy
Right?
is Jerry Jones, man. Holy shit. Like he's like, I don't want to call him senile, but he's like to that grandpa that does not give a shit about the times that have changed or whatever. He's lighting his cigarette up in the damn Chinese restaurant. They can run me out of here. I'm smoking my cigarette. I don't care. And that's basically what it is. Well, you keep fucking up as a GM and you keep hiring these coaches with no ball. You can control them. What do you think of doing? Maybe handing off to your son or something? And it's pretty funny because this goes round circle. If you watch Landman, this show I've been trying to get my friends to watch, Jerry gets on there and he's got like a 5-minute scene where he's talking about how, his business buddy is dying in the bed. And he's like, you got to do this shit for your kids, man. You got to spend time with your kids, get them to be a part of your thing because none of this matters. I bought the Cowboys for my family and for my son. And I get to spend my whole time with my family working and you're not doing that. Where's your family? And I was like, I told Tiny and a couple other people, like, I don't like it was good, but I think he was just speaking his truth there on the camera. That's how he did so good. He conjured up a tear and everything. And then the juxtaposition that with him on the mic, and he says, "Fuck that! I didn't do this for my family. I did this shit for me. I'm gonna be the hero until I die." Oh my god! He was definitely giving it like an Emmy award-winning acting performance on Landman because he literally fucking said the opposite of everything he said on that show. So apparently his sons and the people or whatever, fuck them. It's Jerry Jones. I'm telling you, go look up that clip of him on Landman and then go look up that press scrum where he said he was going to keep being the GM till he's 100 because that shit had me rolling when I saw that.
I think he will keep being the GM until he's 100. Like, I don't think this is like, remember the Clippers guy who had to get run out because his mistress decided to tape him, saying bad, like racist things. Like, this is what's going to happen to Jerry Jones. They're going to honey trap him to finally force. That's the only way this is going to happen. Some jerk is going to send some 19-year-old girl in because he's jealous of Bill Belichick's great granddaughter / girlfriend. And this is going to happen. That's the only way to get him out. Because honestly, these guys can do anything that they want to do as long as it's not screw around with someone 17 or say something racist. And that's what a honey trap's going to do to them. And I'm telling you right now, it'll happen. I mean, again, because there's too much money around Dallas to let this asshole continue to ruin this team. There's too much.
Yeah.
Because it's a running joke. They are the Miami Hurricanes of the NFL. That's it. That's what they are. Every year, they're going to win it. They're winning it every year. Every fucking year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's been that long. It was the 90s for them, towards the end of the 90s, 2001 for Miami when it all came crashing down. But yeah, hey, if I had whatever, $40 billion, whatever he had, and I own the Dallas Cowboys, and no matter how many games we won, ESPN was still going to give us 20% of their coverage, and we're still going to be making crazy money and all the best concerts and all that shit, I'd probably say, fuck it. Give me another beer. We're going to keep doing this thing too. But it's got to suck for the people in the building and stuff. And to your point, like the people at the NFL at some point are like, damn, imagine if Dallas was good. How
Yeah,
can we get this fucker out of here?
absolutely.
How can we
Absolutely.
get him in
Like
a
it would be
nursing home?
amazing. They're so tired of the stupid poor ass Kansas City Chiefs. They don't know what to do. Like it's ridiculous. I just again the Patriots being great. I mean, again, the Patriots is not the Dallas Cowboys. The Kansas City Chief is not the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, like the fan base, the media attention would be so big for the NFL. Again, Jerry Jones, if you get in an elevator with a girl who looks like she might be 21, who all of a sudden is interested in you,
Be
don't fall
wary.
for it, sir.
Be
Don't fall
wary.
for it. Yeah,
That
be
remi-
wary. Don't fall for this. Because
that reminds
she
me of a joke.
is, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, she is recording you. She is going to, get anything she can on you. She's going to get your passwords, everything. And you're going to sit there and give it to her because she's hot, right? And you're going to be like, oh, hey, baby, use my computer. Here's my Uber account. Do this, do that. And she's going to say, all of a sudden, next day, ESPN's leaked headlines about all your search history on your computer, Jerry Jones, and bye bye.
Yeah, we'll see. Old Jerry, I'm sure he's had a lot of money for a lot of years. They'll have to do some research, but yeah, I'm sure they're trying to figure out a way to slip somebody, figure out what rings his bell for him to find that young lady to get in there. But it reminds me of a joke. You saying that I think it was the NFL awards or something, and the comedian or whoever it was like, yeah, man, things have changed. I remember back in the day when the Chiefs sucked and the Packers were good, and he starts naming all this stuff, and he was like, before Bill Belichick's girlfriend was born,
That was Snoop Dogg. That was
was it
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop? Oh my
Yeah,
God,
that was Snoop.
leave it to
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg, man. He's always coming. But yeah, Jason Hayes says they're still the most valuable NFL franchise. Yep, I think
100%.
a lot of that, like the value of NFL franchises, I believe, like is tied around stadium and like you know what I mean. He built that amazing stadium for whatever $1 billion, and yeah, they definitely got the.
I'm pretty sure they're still the most viewed team, though. I'm pretty sure they are.
Oh, I'm sure. They're still
Yeah.
quote unquote America's team or whatever, and it's just one of those things. I guess I don't know if it's casuals or because I know diehard sports fans don't give a shit. Like I'm not watching the Cowboys on Sunday, like at all. I can't remember the
Well, I
last
do sometimes. It depends on who they play because I enjoy watching them lose. It
that far.
is one of my favorite pastimes because watching the Cowboys lose to teams they always lose to when they've declared in August they're going to the Super Bowl this year. This is going to be their year because it always reminds me of Miami fan. There's nothing that makes me happier than when Dallas Cowboys don't make it along with Miami. It is just it's it makes college football and the NFL come together in a way that I can't explain to everybody else. And I love it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is there's still a lot of people alive that they grew up on that shit, kind of like the
A
Bulls.
lot.
Like it's like once another 10 years, all of a sudden maybe they're not America's team, but I'll keep hating them. My hate comes from Emmitt Smith being a Gator, and I don't know. I don't think we have any fear of him coming on the show, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. The rumors around Milton and Pace and Pensacola and everything growing up was that Emmitt Smith was a real fucking asshole, and that if you saw him around town or at Escambia or anything like that, he was a dickhead and he would like charge kids for autographs and stuff. It's one of those things that you hear about certain celebrities and stuff. Who knows if any of it's true? But he's a Gator, I know that. But that's what I always heard. So it was always fuck the Cowboys for me. Never been a Cowboys fan, but yeah. Anyways, I think I wanted to try to make it to an hour to hang out with my people. Spear Addicts, our guy Chris, was having a show at the same time. It was one of those things where this was literally the only time Jen and I could get together to do a show. And it's right when he says what's up as he joins the chat. But yeah, we made it to an hour. I don't think I've missed anything. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about us to talk about that we haven't brought up, speak now or forever hold your peace. Jen, anything we haven't hit on before we get out of here?
Well, I mean, I know you're not interested in the Super Bowl, but what is everybody's pick for the Super Bowl? And are you watching? Or do you feel like the refs are just going to make it what they want and there's no point in watching? I'd just like to know. What do you think?
I feel like the Super Bowl is so highly scrutinized for the most part. Like they're doing all their dirt in the playoffs and the championship games. I think it will be officiated pretty good. We'll see. Like there's such a fine tooth comb or a magnifying glass on the officials. If all of a sudden the Chiefs get all the calls, like I feel like if there's a bad call for the Chiefs, there'll be a makeup call. You know what I'm saying? Like in that particular game, it's like we all sit here and we can all be like, that's bullshit. Why are they letting that stand in all these other games? And it just stands. That's the quote unquote fix. You know what I mean? But during the Super Bowl, yeah, the pressure will come. If they let the fix happen in the Super Bowl, I think it would be too damaging. So that part of it, I think definitely that Pat Mahomes gets the treatment that Brady got for a couple of years when he was the face of the league and they didn't want him getting hit. He lost it later on. He didn't have that in the Tampa Bay days quite as much, but he was that for a while. That's Pat Mahomes now. It is what it is. They're going for a three-peat, all the
We're not
storyline.
comparing Patrick Mahomes to the GOAT, Tom Brady. That's just not what we're going to do.
Well, I mean, at this stage in their career, I mean, we'll see if he gets there, but three-peat's a three-peat. And, you know, it is what it is. Very similar coming out of college. I don't know, Mahomes was a higher,
Yeah.
than Brady, but he still sat a year. He wasn't like somebody that was thought to come in and just tear the world up. But yeah, we're a long way from
Again, we're
comparing their
not going to
body of
do
work.
this
We're
because
just talking about where they are in the career.
Patrick Mahomes has all the weapons in the world. Tom Brady made guys better. This has always been the difference. It is what it is. He had to throw to guys like Wes Welker for years.
Yeah, but his defense carried him the first. I mean, his defense is winning those first 2 or 3 championships to a higher degree than what the Chiefs have. That's for sure. I'm not, neither here nor there. My thing is Mahomes is too young. You got to wait 10 years and see if he turns out to be Brady. But, going for a three-peat, this isn't something that very many people have done. He definitely has a better offensive coach. There's no doubt about it, Mahomes, and a better system and things of that nature for offense. Patriots have better on defense. But I digress. Where the fuck was I going with that? But as far as the game goes, yeah, it's tough. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know one way or the other. It has the feeling like it could be one of those Broncos Super Bowls where they get blown out. I'm hoping for a good game. I'd like Jalen Hurts to pull some miracles out and them to bust some runs and things of that nature. But it sure feels like that three-peat is loaded up in the chamber.
Well, I think one, there's no point in watching it because the refs will cheat for the Chiefs as they have all year. And the commercials seem disgusting. Like nobody wants to see Meg Ryan's 75-year-old ass with Billy Crystal doing the whole When Harry Met Sally doing commercial stuff. But hey, we can all eat and have a good time. I also think that with Taylor Swift's new bad press, what's the bet that Travis Kelsey proposes to her after the refs cheat and allow them to win on the field? What do you think?
Man, that would break that's like TikTok and Instagram, I'm sure. I mean, that would break everything.
I mean, she's getting all this bad press right now.
Did you say if they lose or if they win?
If they win. If they win.
I think you may do it if they lose to take the steam from the Eagles. Like the Eagles win. Oh yeah, well guess what?
I don't think so. I think she will walk out if they lose. I think she would just be like, oh, because it wouldn't be the same moment. The confetti wouldn't be coming down. She's getting so much bad press that like she needs this. That's all I'm gonna say. And so let's see what happens.
I'd like to think they're really in love and it's not just all a Hollywood whatever thing for publicity, but I guess we'll find
Of
out
course it
one day.
is.
Is it Kim K Kanye or is it Kim K Chris Humphreys? I hope Travis Kelce isn't Chris Humphreys out here with the thing, but I guess we'll find out. But I did see a reporter that had some balls. He was like, "Oh, hey, Travis Kelce, who do you love more, Taylor Swift or Phantom quarterback roughing the quarterback penalties?" He didn't answer. He just said, "Nice question." But Tiny Hat jumps in. Damn, Jen, loving those
Oh Lord.
collarbones and that shoulder skin, girl. Chiefs 31, Eagles 24. I tried my best to do a Tiny Hat impression, but I couldn't read the damn text quick enough. I'm sure he's talking to me about it. Okay. He's got the Chiefs. It's hard to pick against the Chiefs. I feel like
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to.
they're just so different. Like
They're
if the
not
Chiefs
different.
get up, it's going to be tough for the Eagles to come back and win the game. But if the Eagles can run the ball and you've got a close game at half, watch out because the physicality. But we'll find out. I haven't watched a ton of NFL, so I don't know. I just kind of know, the personnel.
I would love for the Eagles to win. And I think most of America is coming together for this win. However, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I've never. Yeah, no.
maybe this is why I'm like thinking like they've become the team that wins every year, and everybody's kind of tired of them. It's kind of like the Golden State Warriors. I love the Warriors.
No, they're Alabama.
The first 2 or 3 years, and I was telling everybody, dude, you got to watch the Warriors. They're fun to watch. The Warriors with Mark Jackson, I was all in. They were like my second favorite NBA team. That's who I was playing. But as soon as Kerr got there, you win the 3 titles. It's like it ruins it. But when you talk about Andy Reid, when I think Andy Reid, I think Mike Vick putting up 60 on Washington, like doing crazy shit. I remember him like making Kevin Kolb $100 million, and he was like a third string quarterback at best in the NFL.
I think of Andy Reid's bad clock management. That's all I think of with Andy Reid. No offense.
It just goes to show you,
yeah,
quarterback maketh coach, because Andy Reid did a lot for different quarterbacks, and once he finally got one, you see what's going on. And the same thing with Belichick. He made these great defenses and stuff, but then he got Brady. Like, maybe there's a coach out there, and there probably still is 2 or 3 great coaches out there that just haven't found their quarterback yet. It's crazy how important it is. I wonder how many great quarterbacks get stuck with shitty coaches over and over again and never make it. Feels like in this day and age, like if you're good enough, you're going to get somewhere. But I'm sure there's a lot of people, especially back in the day when you had the whole quote unquote black quarterback that couldn't play at this level and all that stuff. All that shit's out the window. It's like, oh, we should use your attributes, and you're, all this stuff. You can do all the things the white kids can do. Tiny Hat says, "G owe me $5 now," because that was a terrible impression. Come on, man. That's my bad, dude. I couldn't. It's so small on the screen. I should have read it all first and then said it, but we'll get it better next time.
Well, here's what I think. I think one, Jameis Winston got a horrible coach his timeout, and when he was the number 1 pick.
I can't defend Jameis anymore. I love him.
You're insane.
And yes, he got it. Like, he could have been in better situations, but he's had, everybody, all these different coaches and teams try to rein him in, and he can do it for a couple games, but he just has that fucking sling it mentality into him. It's like, oh man, I love him. I'm not that I won't defend him. I love him, and I still think he's one of the best, probably 35, even maybe the best 30 quarterbacks in the NFL. I think there's plenty of teams that could use him, but as far as
you mean the Titans
rising to the level of what he was at Florida State or being a Pro Bowler, it's going to be real tough. It's like, it's crazy. And then to see him do the press conferences where he's like, I'm going to pray to the gods of pick sixes to stop spending so much time with me. Like, it's crazy. Like, he just can't help himself. It's like he got his eyes fixed and everything. I feel like
So,
he
yeah.
just needed the right coach, to your point. If he could have got some coach to really fucking
Yep.
make it, he needs to throw it 25 times a game. This is what I've said since he was in college. If he throws it 25 times a game, you're going to win with Jameis. If he's throwing it 40, 50 times, you're in trouble. You're never going to win because he's going to throw, this or that. But yeah, I love him, man. His
So,
personality, everything.
Jason Hayes, the reason Jameis hasn't been invited to the Heisman House is because it's pretty much run by ESPN. And one, they suck. And two, it's the whole fake Erica Kinsman bullshit that, the Me Too movement did and kind of ruined a lot of that stuff for him. That's exactly what it is. Believe it or not.
Yeah, it's like that's obviously why it didn't happen back then. And now it's to this point now. Like, they're probably scared that if they did all, I don't know if he would deny them or they're worried about if they did offer and people are like, oh, why now? And bring all that shit back up. But yeah, screw them. I can keep it. But yeah, that's what it is. All the BS from back in school. Effer and the pussy. And damn.
Again,
I said the
Erica
worst word.
Kinsman. Say her name out loud. Say that lying bitch's name out loud. Say it. Say it. Say it. Everybody should keep continuing to call that bitch out. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Shout out, Jameis. Prayers to you and your family that you can keep doing your thing. I hope he gets another job in the NFL, but if he's going to be on Fox or wherever on my TV, that would be amazing as well. So he's all like, the one thing that was crazy about all that and people talking about he's this and he's that and immature, everywhere he's ever been to this day.
The players love him.
The players, the coaches, the fans. He's just, everybody fucking loves him. And it's like, oh yeah, OJ Simpson was the same way. But no, that's different. I believe in Jameis on that note. And yeah.
I know you did not just compare him to OJ.
I'm just making a joke. I mean, what are you going to, I mean, I led myself down that corridor of saying all that stuff. And
by the way, a lot of players didn't love OJ. That's 100% not true.
I'm not saying that. Bullshit. He was out there like Magic Johnson. I don't know. I wasn't even. What am I talking about? All I watched was
the media. That was the media. His persona in the media. Like players that were around OJ. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're right about that.
Yeah. How many former players like stood with him in court going, "Hey, OJ didn't do it." I didn't see a whole lot.
Yeah, rest in peace, my guy. Anyways, I think we've run the gamut on this one. If nobody has any questions, thanks for KP as he rests and recuperates for joining the chat. Thank you, everybody, for joining the chat. Any final words before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. Let's go Eagles. Let's all come together as Americans and pray. I
don't know if I can do that.
I can.
We gotta all come together for the Eagles.
Yeah.
I usually tend more NFC, so it would be an NFC team. I don't know, man. I like Andy Reid. I like him. He's a good guy. I'll go with you. I'll pull for the Eagles. I'll pull for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Okay. Just to be the opposite of Tiny Hat, I'll say 31-24 Eagles, and maybe we'll make Jen happy.
I cannot believe that Florida State fans would be cheering for the Chiefs when they ruin our war chant on a daily basis.
Yeah, I didn't say I would cheer for them. I don't know if I'm going to root for their demise. I'm neutral on this thing. I just want to see. But yeah, what they do with the war chant, I don't even so much mind that they do it because, like, there's stories where, when Deion went to the Braves, he brought it there. Somebody from the band or whatever went there. My problem is they play some fucking cassette tape from 1973 of like, it's terrible. The sound of it is
it's not
that hard to do. Like, play a tape of the Marching Chiefs or fucking get a band that can do it because it's like, it's terrible and they can't get the chop together. Like Atlanta, You
That's
go to
it.
Atlanta,
That's
they
the
do the
problem.
tomahawk
It's
chop, and
not
it's
the cassette
together.
tape.
It's
It's
together.
not the cassette tape. It's the fat white Karens in the stands that can't even get it in control. And they all look like absolute meth heads when they're trying to do it. And then they look at you going, "Ugh, this is ours." It's like, no, the fuck, it's not, Karen. Stop it. Lose some weight. Stop hitting your arm on your big old boob and like do it correctly. It's really disgusting. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, you guys, Kansas City Chiefs fans out there, get your shit together. If you're gonna do the chant, do it in harmony. Okay, not everybody's
Yeah.
starting at different times. It's not that hard. Uh, put on some tape, go watch some Florida State games, go to Atlanta Braves baseball game, which I don't even know. We're not going to get into that. They fucking outlawed the chop and everything else and then brought it back. I don't know what's going on there. We love you guys. We'll try to get on here more often, hopefully for a roast soon, maybe Tuesday. We're not sure exactly, but we'll send you the links and everything. Thank you for sticking with us. And go Florida State. We love you guys.